For a lot of my life, I thought it was death. It comes in many forms, many variances, many levels. Imagine being totally blind and not seeing anything at all, but then you realize you're sound blind. You're deaf.
So I'm Dan.
And I'm Nick, folks.
We're old friends dissecting one topic at a time. People, technology, media, we've got it all covered.
Each discussion here is a deep dive into our unique perspective. Taboo, forbidden subjects, they're all on the chopping block, baby. We don't pander to popular opinion. We might even get a little bit dirty.
Warning, this podcast may contain mature language and sexual content and is for infotainment purposes only.
So join us. Have a good time.
Open up your ear holes, because we're going to fondle your follicles. And I'm Dan of the UnPanderers here. And we also have...
Nick, folks.
Nick.
Snick, folks.
Snick here. Snick.
Lemony Snicket.
What was Little Monsters? What was that?
Crumb?
Was it Crumb? What was the big guy's name?
Crumb.
The dog. There's Crumb?
Yeah. Real Monsters? Crumb, Thumbelina, and Icus?
No. Little Monsters?
Little Monsters. I don't know. What's Little Monsters?
It's Fred Savage.
Oh, yeah. The movie. The creepy, scary movie?
Yeah.
Kind of messed
Howie
up.
Mandel.
Yeah.
That's
kind of weird.
Reese. And then...
I haven't seen that in
Snick.
Oh,
yeah,
I guess it was Snick.
Yep. Oh, that guy's creepy as hell.
A lot of creepy people. Would you say they in any way relate to our main topic tonight of deafness?
Yeah, because almost 1% of children are deaf and have a hearing loss is up to 3%.
They're the same thing.
You're going to ask me to define the difference between deaf and hearing loss?
I was, actually. I thought deaf was something you were born with or got through a disease, like yellow fever or scarlet fever.
So, like, hearing loss can happen if, like, you stand in front of a speaker at a rock concert and you lose a little bit. You lose some dBs.
Your mom flashes. Wait, do you even know what that's from? Oh, crap.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, real quick. Keep going. I'll save this. Just remind me about the speakers.
So hearing loss is essentially you can like still make out noises and stuff, but a deafness is like you have no functionality whatsoever. Like you can't.
You can hear thumping and stuff, or I guess it's not considered hearing. You feel that.
Feeling, yeah.
All right, that makes sense. So, wow. Thank you. Gee, how are people deaf? Like, does anyone know any deaf people? Probably not.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. 3%.
It's rare.
Unless you're, people of all ages, it's like a fifth of us have some sort of hearing loss.
Going deaf, or there are different varying degrees of it. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother was deaf.
What? Really?
Yeah.
You making this up for the podcast?
No, did
you make her deaf just so you could do a podcast about it?
No, because I thought it was deaf for the longest time. They'd be like, "She's deaf," and I'm like, "Okay." Like I really, until I was like 5 or 6.
She's got a scythe.
Yeah, but up to like age 5 or 6, I really didn't know the word was deaf with an F. Because I'd never seen it spelled out. You know what I mean? As a kid, I just know we always said she was deaf. And I was like, okay. She she would babysit us too. So it was like wild. Like I learned like maybe like 8 to 12 things in sign language. And I got really good at reading lips and like speaking my lips, like so that you could speak to them. Yeah.
Interesting.
Like the most messed up thing I remember, I think I was 7 and my sister Natalie was
pizza.
No. It involved yelling. I was like, nah, watch this. And I screamed at the top of my lungs. And my grandmother, who was like 5 feet away, babysitting us, didn't even turn. And I was like, ha, 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 ha. Got her. Because we weren't supposed to yell, I guess. I don't even know.
She was deaf her entire life?
ever since she was like 2 or 1, somewhere between 1 and 2, she got a real bad fever, scarlet fever, yellow fever, one of the fevers, and almost killed her, I believe, but took her hearing with it. That's faux show. So she was raised deaf. She went to I think she went to a regular high school, but then at some point she went to the school for the deaf in Philadelphia.
Huh.
Boom, boom,
Interesting.
boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
So you touched on one of the points that a fever can cause deafness. You have meningitis and other infections, and then certain medications can also make you deaf. It's like forms of encephalitis will damage your nerves that are coming from your ears.
Is that what they do? Is it always the same nerves, or is it like different ones? Like it can mess up the hammer, or it can mess up just the part, the cochlear part, or it can just mess up this part. Like, is it different? It just attacks the ear, and once one piece doesn't work, it's like you can't use it because it's like a multifunctional organ.
Yeah, I don't know that the physical pieces are susceptible to like viral or bacterial infection, but like the auditory nerve can be attacked, and I think that's most of deafness.
So it's probably the nerve that. Okay. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. That would make entirely sense. So not a physical defect, a nerve defect. Mm-hmm. So we can say the people who are deaf are less than us, right? Because they have a defect. Is that what you're getting at?
Oh, God.
Is that what you're trying to say?
What do you? Oh
what?
My.
Why do I push an envelope? I don't. Everyone. That's so funny that this episode came up, and that you have a closer tie to deafness at the moment than I do. But I love deaf people. Like I meet deaf people all the time somehow, and like. I know just enough sign language where I get by, and they always claim they know someone I know, and I don't know that it's true, but it's such a close knit community, and like I'm so good at reading lips and projecting my lips, if that's a thing, that I get along with them really great, and like deaf people are awesome, and I have a lot of deaf friends and deaf
you're
friends.
Very flamboyant with your hands. You're Italian.
Oh my God, that's 100% it. So I'm always speaking like this, and I'm over pronouncing my words, and I'm saying. Usually I'm repeating my jokes, so it's perfect. That's what it is.
This one actually came up because I was once again on Reddit, and somebody had a VR world where I guess someone had VR like gloves on so they could sign in VR, and they were just signing, and it was like the title of the thing was like deaf people invent new language so they can talk in VR, and it was just sign language.
It was just sign language. Yeah. Why did it look different? Because in VR, did it have like trailers on it or something? Like
it was very good. Like you could actually make out like different like the finger spelling.
That's cool.
Which I'm going to test you. Do you know the alphabet?
And like I do and I don't. Go ahead.
It's A, B, C, D, E.
Oh, I thought we were quizzing me. Yeah, keep going. What is that?
F.
F? Hold up. I think I learned F different. Can you do F differently?
F?
I totally would remember this. No. I had A, B, C,
E,
D. I'm messing that
E,
up.
follow me.
E,
F, G.
G is 1.
Yep, H is 2. I, J, K, L.
L? Damn, L is just an L?
Yeah,
Damn.
it's an L.
It's M.
It's like
N.
Yeah, N. Yep, it's 2.
LMNO.
P.
It's like an upside down K. Q. R. Oh, Q is like you're pinching something, right?
Yeah.
Okay. R is what?
R. S.
No, I forgot R.
R is like
S?
twisted fingers.
Yeah, I've seen that before. S.
T.
T is put the thumb in the middle there. Give it the old T.
T. U.
U.
V. W.
The
X.
hell's X? A hook?
Yeah, it's a
the old hook?
Yep.
Hook. No one uses an X anyway. Y and Z, right? Doesn't Z like with your pinky again? Yeah, whatever. Z finger, whatever. All right, cool.
I feel like you cheated on Z.
Which one's this? Father?
I think.
Mother?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. You have to go to the bathroom?
I don't know that you do that. Like.
No, I thought it was. Well, you don't like.
you tap father and mother. This one's an insult, I think. Right?
That neener. Yeah, probably.
That's probably something serious, but we don't know what that is.
Jesus. You're always praying to
Jesus.
Is
that Jesus?
You know? I think so. That's what I learned in like a long, long time ago.
Oh.
Thank you. Always. You got to be courteous.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Which one's you're welcome? What is it like?
You like your bow. You're welcome. You go towards your chest.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a wild one. Oh, keep going. Do you know? Give me some more common
turtle.
ones. Is that really turtle?
Yeah, turtle.
That's so cool. I never heard that one.
I like
That's
that
cool.
one.
That was good. That's cool.
Uh-huh.
So I learned these, and I probably learned a new one all the time and forgot them all the time. But usually you can work through it, and it's weird to me that my grandmother would teach me while she was deaf. So like she couldn't, and since
Pronounce
she
the
was
words
deaf,
properly?
like she did and she didn't. It was so weird because like I could tell if I knew ahead of time what she was saying, easy to figure it out. If you didn't, like I'd be like, I'm not sure. Like she was like, ow, ow, but like she could make the mouth movements, but not the air that pushed
so
it
many
out.
people, yeah.
Exactly,
It's the
and
internals.
she totally knew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she didn't know how to push the air out to make any of the sounds, but she totally was doing the right facial movements for all the sounds. So it would be like, ow, yeah, next, down the couch. And I'd be like, you're barely speaking. You know what I mean? But really, she would smack me because she was Italian. So.
Yeah.
Well, she wouldn't really, but if I said what I just said, she would.
She'd smack you.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she would if you heard me talking about her.
My wife has a hearing loss. So
What?
That's the part of the piece
Look at
of the puzzle there.
That's how my man knew the alphabet.
I also went to a college that mainstreamed deaf people.
Holy crap, everyone's going to crack down. We're all typing in our PCs. We know where we went to school, folks. But that's good.
It's a rather interesting experience because, like the Reddit post, it's like a brand new world for like the first few months that you're in it. And then afterwards, it's just kind of a natural thing. You see people just like
signing,
making
talking.
Like the motions and like the noises are like just like pieces of the noise.
Yeah.
And then you get a lot of like all the mouthy, like the when someone talks and they make the lip smacks and stuff. So you hear a lot of that. Like if you go to like a deaf party, it's just like that's all you hear, and it's kind of like
that's wild that a deaf party would be so loud in that sense.
Yeah.
A lot of smacks and hands and noise.
Until they realize that the music's not playing, and then they'll turn the bass up. It was crazy loud.
Really? I've never been to like a deaf party. Most of the deaf people I know are way older than me or like younger than me. I'm not like I didn't hang out with deaf people my own age.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
It's one of those things that like as you get older, like you should know sign language, but I guess you don't give a shit at the time. Like you're like already ready for death or deaf.
You're talking about like when you have your own hearing loss.
Yeah, like when you're in your 70s, like 80s.
70s, 80s, close. Yeah.
And then also probably your hands are probably like shot at that point.
That's true. Yeah, they're like gnarly things. You're like
the little claws.
Like, M, and they're like, is it P? And you're like, Good point. What I was going to say is, do you know any like? Were you around any deaf? I almost said conventions. Like, what's crazy is, especially back because my grandmother is, she's not around with technology today. It's not like she had a cell phone.
Yeah, she's
connected to the world and stuff like that. Yeah. We got it so that anytime you rang her doorbell, all the lights in the house would turn off and on.
Nice.
And the phone did the same, but it went on a blinking pattern, so it would all go bing, 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 bing. And you're like, why does it matter when her phone rang? Well, she had a TTY machine. Yeah. You know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that to me, it's so crazy. I remember being like 4 years old and using it. And you can pull it up with it.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I just called it a TTY. I had no idea.
Telephone?
Yeah, text to telephone. That makes sense. So you would pick up your phone, your house phone that was sitting there, pull it off the receiver, and if you listen to it, it would be like Matrix sounds, right? You'd be like, Mom, it's Grandma, because there was no way for her to know if anyone was even home picking up the phone. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't say you've connected or anything. So we'd pick up, we'd have the TTY machine above the fridge is where we kept it.
So your mom's
take it
mom?
down. No, my dad's mom. So we'd take it, put it on the table, and then flip the phone onto this machine. And this machine must have transcribed the sounds, I guess, because that's all it had to go on, right? The sound into one of 26 characters, or I guess they probably programmed like 35 characters, like exclamation point.
Probably ASCII. It's probably like 64 or 128 or 256.
Okay. 256 sounds like a lot for this damn machine. It was probably the 64 or something. Anyway, and then it would come across and be like, "Hello, Grandma. Here is anyone
Figure
there?" Blah, blah,
blah. == D tilde.
Grandma, she got us again. But the other funny thing is, she would always end the whole conversation with XOXOXO, and then to sign off was SK, and that's how you knew the whole conversation was over.
SK.
Yeah. I don't know if it meant anything, or it was our code in our family, or if it was like a universal thing.
What was that? Hugs and kisses? And
no, because the XO that's hugs and kisses. XOXOXO. Yeah, for people who don't know, before emojis, like you used to send XOXOXO to people you loved, and that meant hugs and kisses.
For the younger crowd. So there's an element you're touching on here, is that the technological advancement made it so that deaf people could learn at the same pace as other people, which is beneficial for my wife because she hit that wave right as people were starting to text and you were starting to get captions on TV and all sorts of things that didn't exist before. So the people born in the early 1900s, they didn't have jack. So essentially,
they're kind of screwed.
Yeah, the deafness meant that you're completely ignored, which is kind of persisting a little bit. Is that there's a section of deaf people who are like, people don't expect anything out of them, so they don't even like integrate them into culture. They don't even bring them into like the discussion, so they can never learn and grow from it. So there's a lot of deaf people.
Like an off-cast portion of the population.
Yeah, exactly. Pariahs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not that they're even looked down on, because I bet if you talk to most of the audience listening right here, they're not like, I hate deaf people. Ooh, disgusting. But they don't think about them ever, or they probably don't incorporate them into anything. And hell, I technically don't really volley for them anywhere. I mean, if you asked me to, I guess I would, but I don't think of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And try to tell a joke to a group of people with one deaf person, and then the punchline comes and the deaf person doesn't get it. How do you bring them back into it and retell the joke and make it equally funny the second time around?
This sounds crazy. I would.
You would somehow make it funnier?
Yeah, I'd somehow make it, yeah. No, maybe. Who knows? It all depends on the person, too.
Mm-hmm.
The individual.
Yeah.
The crowd. Mm-hmm. The setting. A lot of things. But no, you're right. It's like a thing that you don't think of until it's already there. And then you're like, oh, hey, what should I do now?
This is like is this a segue into like Helen Keller? We're talking about Helen Keller.
Word. I don't know much about her, to be honest with you. Dead serious. I just know the jokes and stuff.
Yeah, that she was born.
That she was blind and deaf, correct?
So they had to develop a technique of like tapping her so that she could communicate. I don't even know how much she understood or how you interact with a person like that.
So what senses are there? Taste, smell, and touch?
Yeah. It's not like you can communicate through taste or smell.
You can, but not really.
Not without being extremely awkward. Like, damn. I'm gonna feed you licorice now to mean that there's someone at your door or your telephone's ringing. Here's some licorice. How do you?
But you wouldn't even be able to express the idea of door, would you? I don't know.
You have to like hit them with the door. I don't know. Like that's the weirdest part of like it's such a basic understanding that a child will get because they can see it and hear it. But like a child doesn't know that it hurts when you close the door on their fingers. So it takes like a couple times like that way. So there's different forms of communication, but using it as like a means of speech, like you're reversing the path that you were expecting.
I just don't know how. Well, you're also, in my mind, I picture things. So I can't picture what I can't picture. Like, I'd be fascinated to know how a blind individual's mind works. Like,
whether the other senses take over.
Well, I understand the other senses take over, but then when you picture you're blind and you can feel the door, you can feel the guitar, you can feel a micro, you can feel all these things. You can interact with them. You know your food. You can interact. You know how it tastes.
It's like echolocation for dolphins.
I guess, but what I'm getting at is it all the same thing? Because in my mind, vision is what separates items and objects and everything. Like this is a color and it's shiny and it's metal. It's not connected to this. But when you're blind, it almost feels like it's all one thing. And then parts of it are edible or parts of it are hurt when you hit them or parts of it. I don't know. It's like I'm a very visual, mental individual. Like I visually picture things. So if I didn't have vision or sound, don't know what I think of anything as. Like, what would I just?
If
I'd be
you're
like, this is the thing.
yeah,
The desk.
if your only sense was touch, how great would an orgasm feel?
Really good.
Yeah.
Except like if you were doing it in a door.
You're just out in public, and you're like,
yeah, just giving it to the door.
There's a Alan Keller joke in there somewhere, I'm sure.
There's a lot.
I'm sure. Leave it in the comments below.
Yeah.
We'll chuckle quietly, but say that's awful. And then chuckle
I would
quietly.
say it's terrible.
Since you're a visual person, please.
I am.
That's how you would envision Helen Keller going to town.
Yeah, I would. I can't picture her auditorily.
Yeah, I have no idea what. It's one of those weird. Yeah, it's the same thing with your grandmother. Like, if you're trying to make a noise, she's doing it by vision. Do you think someone like tried to get her to? I have to look this up.
What? Try and get her to talk?
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably tried in school and stuff. I'm not sure, but because this is back in the 40s and everything. Like I said, the coolest part was going to the school for the deaf. I believe she played on the football team. Yeah, but going to the school for the deaf must have been cool because everyone around you is like deaf. So like it's your own community. It's like kind of awesome. It's like your people.
So that was one of the things that I noticed from my wife is that she only had like a couple friends. Like they would have like these meetups, but the meetups wouldn't be like local. So you wouldn't like she didn't. I don't think that she knew another deaf person like growing up through like until high school when she actually like go to places. Out. Yeah, and then it's like you finally like meet up with them, and college must have been like an amazing time because you finally can like be near people like you, have a culture. And there's a weird, like, you realize that there's, like, a weird divide there, too. Is that not only there's, like, hearing loss culture, there's, like, deaf cultures, and then there's expectations between them and battles. I'm going to go back to Helen Keller really quickly.
Go ahead. What do you got?
That what do you got, my gal? She put a finger on, like, your larynx, one on your lips, and then one against your nose, so that she could feel you breathing, and exhaling, and the vibrations that you would make.
To what? Hear me say a sentence like, "Can you get me the fork?"
Yeah.
And then she had to verbalize that, figure out where in the house the forks were, and hand you a fork. That's insane. I said that wouldn't work.
Spork.
Yeah. What are you, an idiot? I said spork.
Oh, poor. She's dead, right?
Yeah. Yeah, she's dead. I'm pretty sure.
1968 is when she died. There are still jokes. Yeah. Even as high schoolers, we had jokes.
Yeah, sure.
That's so bizarre because it was like 30 years removed.
Yeah. They just made a song. Move your lips, do the Helen Keller something it's like a song came out like 4 years ago.
Oh, I didn't. Huh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And do the Helen Keller when you move your... Everyone's going to be like, this guy's old. It's just like... I forget the line now. Yeah. It's in like a pop song.
So are there any questions you ever wanted to ask me about?
Yeah, so here. This is honestly a good one.
Yeah.
Like, your wife, like, she's deaf. So, like, you have 2 kids.
Yeah.
No. Like, is it weird to... Do they have trouble communicating with her?
They like I don't know because kids around my kids are like very young, so
and they grew up with it. Like it's not like they're also just shown it. So go ahead.
When they pronounce things and they like say like I want this thing, like it's kind of like a toddler tantrum anyway because like they're gonna cry like crazy.
Sure.
There are certain times when she doesn't understand them and like she'll keep asking them. And like they
keep
think
saying
probably
it. They're saying it right, whether they are or aren't. I mean, they could, and they also might not. Because I know sometimes even my kid has like words he still says where he's like, and I'm like, the what, dude? Yeah. It's like the most random thing. It's like a thing in Minecraft that you get.
Understand your own kid? And you're just like,
diamond.
I don't know.
I don't know what he's saying.
Got problems.
He's out of his mind. Yeah. So I get it. That now, like, but otherwise they like. they communicate, they get along, they do everything fine. It's not like it's like whatever.
I don't know if they realize at all. Like, I guess.
Like, do they know she's deaf or anything?
I don't think so. So my wife lost her hearing when she was 4-ish. Her hearing is such that she couldn't understand words, but she could hear frequencies, like certain frequencies, but that's not useful in understanding words. So she got a cochlear when she was like in her 20s, and the cochlear gets her by most of the time. It's just like non-directional and bitwise sound. So like there are certain websites that will like digitize sound in like the shitty cochlear implant noise way. And it like everyone should listen to that because it's like, how do you pick out? Yeah, how do you pick out what a word actually sounds like when it's just like like you get like the little like you get like weird breaks in the way that you hear frequencies.
Weird. I would check that out. So yeah, so it's like it's functional deafness. Is that a term? I don't even know. And check this. So when she got the cochlear implant, was there a whole hullabaloo?
Hullabaloo?
Yeah.
About. So I don't know. The period of learning is unique because you're trying to teach your brain how to listen, and it's getting sensory input that it's never had before, or it's had pieces of.
Oh, yeah. Well, and you're talking about plasticity of the mind, right? We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
By the time you're in your 20s, it's not quite what it was, especially not what it was as a kid when you're learning language and stuff.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of like speech therapy and like audiologists involved to like slowly gain like your ability to hear, and then they tweak it too. There's like steps, so there's gradations.
It's like braces. So they go back in and readjust, and they say, "How's it going? Let's readjust. Let's go in. How's it going? Readjust."
Well, it's all programmable, so like they can program it to be a little bit more and more sensitive as it like it's painful in the beginning, so like. She was like learning and fixating on like my voice because I was around her the most. So like over time it became that like my voice was the one that like she could pick out the most. She's tuned to me.
Right. She's tuned to you. she's officially been culled. Is that the right term? I'm not sure, but yeah. Ruined.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Definitely
she's gonna hit the dating scene. Hi, my name's Ricky. She's gonna be like
oh,
this isn't gonna work. She's gonna find your voice double.
Oh.
Can you say these words? And it's gonna have one of your sentences. Hi, it's Dan from the UnPanderers. It's wild. And no, I was actually going with the in the deaf community for a while. I don't know if that's changed or not. Getting a cochlear implant was like no, it was like negative.
Yeah,
it was like looked down on, like to the point where like really bad. Like I think there are a few Law and Order episodes based on this. They killed someone in the community because it's like you're turning your back on everyone, and it's like you're turning technology and leaving everyone behind who isn't available to get the cochlear implant.
Yeah, exactly. Because like you don't want to be left behind, and also like you're fine as is what I mean. If you've been born that way, you expect it to be the best. Like this is how we are. It's fine.
Are we not fine? It's like almost like saying, "Hey, you want to fix yourself, even though I can't fix myself? I thought we were all good." And that's a weird, messed up way to look at it too. I mean, you would want whoever to be able to make themselves the best of however they can be.
Yeah. The scariest part is that my wife actually deals with a lot of deaf people who are, I guess, like kind of forgotten. So like the people who are brought up in families that didn't acknowledge that they were deaf and didn't do anything different to teach them. So like their
barely
reading, reading and writing is at like a second grade level maybe, and they're like 30 years old. Like they're full grown adults, but they cannot understand anything other than maybe pieces of sign language or pidgin, which is like
wild because my grandmother's reading and writing skills I feel like were fairly not good. Wouldn't say they were terrible, but you could tell they weren't like up to snuff. Now she was a very clever lady. Like she always watching Jeopardy. She had a TV routine, and she smoked a pack of marbles a day. I think.
Nice.
God rest her soul.
Make it? She made pretty fun.
20, probably like 70.
I feel like there's a point where like you've already like destroyed your body enough that like the smoking keeps it together. Like all the pieces just like require it to stick.
Yeah, like it keeps the train moving. It's like not helping anything. It's not hurting anything. But if you stop suddenly, it probably would. You're going to stop other things, and other things are going to stop other things, and everybody's going to be like, "We didn't realize we were driving over a rickety bridge and we just stopped to look and now we're going to crash.
Mm-hmm.
Like when a Looney Tune goes out over the cliff and looks down, and that's when they fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
But she was smart. You could tell she was smart by the way she held
She was
herself.
clever.
Yeah.
In certain things. I could tell. And just, you have to be clever to a degree when you don't have to be, but to be more dependent on yourself for things, because like you said, you're deaf.
More dependent on yourself.
Well, because you have to, right?
Isn't that that's the weirdest way of saying you're independent?
A contradiction?
You are dependent on yourself.
You're more dependent on yourself than the average person.
Yeah.
So you're independent.
I guess.
It's wild.
What do you think you would do if you were deaf? What would you think would be different? What would be the one thing?
I'd probably everything the same. This podcast I'd still do.
Yeah.
I'd still go to all the events I've gone to, all the concerts.
Play all the music that you do, bass.
Play all
drums,
the musical instruments.
guitar.
I play. Yeah. I would still play them. Wouldn't hear them as well.
Do you think you'd be telling jokes?
I imagine. I don't know. It's like, is there like a timing thing with comedy, like where they're like this, and then they pause and wait a minute and go, like that? Like, you know what I mean? I'd figure that out.
Yeah.
I'd probably get some timing down in my physical comedy. So I don't know. I guess it would definitely be different. I definitely miss music most of all. Shaped my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I talk to people so much. Like I'm a talker
Mm-hmm.
and a listener. I will listen. But yeah, I think it would stunt my growth in that direction. I don't know what I would turn to. Would I be into making video games or something? Like something I could do that I enjoy quietly?
Photography.
Yeah.
Like
I could be getting into
physical
that.
activity.
Oof, disgusting. Yeah, I think so. And I think I assume I would enjoy it or embrace it or, go full throttle into it, hang out with deaf groups and like do deaf stuff. Like I think I would.
Mm-hmm.
And I think of my grandmother while I did it, you know what I mean? Kind of like a shout out, an homage.
Homage, yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I don't know. I've seen my wife struggle to find people that like match her, because I guess her deafness is kind of unique, where she was able to learn enough until she was 4 to like get a leg up, I guess. And then throughout her life, like her parents fought for her to be integrated and then helped by having an interpreter, like in normal classes.
Oh, that's cool.
So
I didn't know that's how that worked. So you go to a normal classroom and an interpreter helps you while you're in the class?
She'll follow you throughout the day. Like that's the way it worked for her.
Sweet. That's kind of cool.
So the problem was that like the school didn't want to pay for that, but they had to go to court and legally like battle it out until the school actually like folded and said like, okay, we'll do it. Yeah.
Why is it a basic right if you go to public school?
Well, she went to a private school. So I think a public school would have provided for it, but a private school was like, oh, screw this person.
No.
Yeah, it costs money. Like,
of course.
What does God want to do? Not pay money. Like, come on.
Yeah. No. I think God arguments are the best. Like, don't you think God want you to spend the money on all those people? No, I think God's going to provide one by magic.
Yeah.
God
will take care of itself.
Yeah, it will all work out.
She will go into the woods and become learned.
Oh God, Elsie.
Yeah. So she had her parents fighting for her, and throughout, it's kind of an amazing thing that she like kept pace with most people like on the same path of learning, because my focus during class was usually like scribbling something and like listening, like to actually have to look up, not scribble, and
pay attention with your eyes and your face and your whole attention span on something that you probably weren't interested in, but you're friggin' learn.
That person is there for you, so you also feel bad if you're ignoring that person.
Oof, that's tough, man. That's like going to work.
Yeah. Yep. And then there's an aspect of that, like for interpreters too, for like the interpreters that are like, if you've seen a musical act with an interpreter on the side of the stage, like they always fuck with the interpreter. They always like say certain words or try to get them to like the Eminem interpreter, where she's like totally into it.
Oh man,
it's impressive. But the comedians always fuck with it too.
Here's another thing. So interpretation, I find, which is crazy. Ever since we had closed captioning on at her house all the time, only certain channels had it. But they wouldn't write exactly what was being said on TV.
Yeah.
You simplify it
It's like
because you
French.
have to cut out words a little bit. So you're touched on it right there with interpreters. Sign language doesn't have all the articles, the and, of. Cut out most of the words. So you have to try and figure out the verb path and like your nouns in order and just put words in order. And then the individual has to connect the dots. Well, what is the interpreter interpreting the information as? What are they signing it as? And then what is the person who's seeing the signs interpreting it as? So you're making up quite an extra barrier, like 3 extra levels of like it could just get misconstrued a little bit. And a little bit is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, you're pretty much like if someone's teaching you a class, you're hoping that the person understands what the teacher is teaching and then conveying it to you. The same thing happened when my wife was giving birth, is that they give you an interpreter. Not all the time. But there are certain interpreters that didn't know medical terminology. And my wife did.
Like, I'm going to give you a needle in the back, like whatever the name of drugs and stuff. Like, can you imagine that? We're going to give you so-and-so drug.
And then like
sign language
spell
for
out
that
like,
drug. It's just like spell it out. It's like ding, 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 ding. And you're like, was that Tylenol? Was that Perfenol? Was that Bushenol?
And it's like,
give it to me. Yeah, I'll take so.
So like that sort of shit. Like my wife was like, like this interpreter, like no, never again.
Because they boot.
Yeah,
nice. It wasn't a full.
The problem is you still go through an interpreting service though. So like the service provides the interpreter. So like you say like never again, and the interpreting service can still bring that person back, and you're just like, what is this? Like, how do you argue against the only person that can potentially
interpret?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So like that sort of crap, just like it's almost insane, like borderline insane that you can have people that are inept and provided at a crucial moment of life where it could be life or death for somebody.
Life or death. Yeah, you're right. 100%.
And it's like you need them for everything. It's also the backup option is like they have this little cart. So the cart has like a video interpreter. You can call a service, which then interprets what they hear.
And then does it over the video screening service. That's wild.
Sounds kind of good, but in practice, it actually like they don't have enough Wi-Fi. Their signal strength isn't good enough. They could not enough throughput, so like it would like freeze, and like every minute, like in the middle, it would just like, and it'd be like you'd be like, did we lose him? Did we lose him? And like surgery's got to keep going. Like
the first ever deaf doctor. Doctor, more to the left. More to the left. Too far, come back. Too far, come back. Like, can you imagine that? An extra layer, a level?
Would anybody trust a deaf doctor? Would you trust him?
I would.
You would?
Why not? I mean, wait, they have to have a track record. I will not be the first. And they're just like operating on like my pinky, nothing internal.
Nothing, yeah.
I don't want
no central organs, life or death.
Surgeons. Nothing in here. You got everything on my outside.
Didn't specify his penis or anything. Vasectomy?
Yeah. You know why? I think doctor's gonna like what they say. Oh my!
Yeah. Big penis.
No, is that sound like a shot?
That's a penis. Penis sign.
Oh, that's awesome. What is it?
It's a P to your nose.
Oh shit! Penis. That's awesome. I just learned a new word today, folks. That's cool.
Teaching the world.
So here's a real question, because I imagine some deaf people will watch this episode. Maybe not. What about even your wife? Like, would you say like something nice to her on the recording? Because will it ever get?
Yeah, she's smart as fuck.
That's fair.
Katie,
that's good.
You're smart as fuck.
You didn't see, and that's very nice. Like,
so there is captioning that goes into these, and that's one of the reasons why.
That's what I was going to say. I think it recently started getting captioning. Correct? How's that working out? I've never seen the full episode with captioning. I think they just recently started that.
It's like a year ago when I did this, it was like not that great, but I think it's getting better, and I also think we're getting better, like more. We're better at enunciating.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Both. Isn't there a really good speech to text thing that just got released on Android? Yeah, there's a real new one. It's very cutting edge. It's like able to transcribe our words into text right away. It does a very good job of it. Like it's not just a text to speech, like for making a text message.
Yeah.
It's like recording a lecture in class.
Huh.
Like you can record it. It uses the same stupid AI that all Google stuff uses. It's a Google product.
It goes to some mastermind in the cloud, and then the cloud's just like
it's algorithm based, so it's probably based on a million different pronunciations of a word, and then based on the word prior and the word next, it probably makes some kind of match. And it's like, hey, he said fiddler on the, and it sounds like coof, but it's probably roof. Yeah, it's probably roof. And it's like, it is fiddler on the roof.
For me, I think it's like you probably take an AI and then like train it as best as possible with like your subset of whatever words and language and sounds, and then like you're like taking pieces from the internet, and eventually you hit the iceberg that's like porn on the internet, and then it's just like screws up the language whatsoever.
I wonder if
it's like he was so smart until he saw Pornhub.
Holy,
and it's like,
dude, I have such a great idea now. I feel like there's going to be a movement where the internet starts to take over humanity, or like outweighs us in all facets, and it's perfect in every facet, and it's just so beautiful. And then it hits this giant glitch where it's all our saved up porn, and porn saves the day. It's like, oh, give it to me. Oh, and just like porno faces and that sound people make, and like, oh,
have you seen
like
that,
all these
that
terrible
one,
noises?
The one that's like a real step siblings, and then like the guys just like play video games, and then like the girl comes over and she's like, stepbrother, I need help, and it's like, I'm stuck in the garbage disposal, and he's like, oh god, not again. And then she like the whole dialogue is like her like, hey, I have this problem, can you do this for me? And he's like, no, not gonna, no, stop it, please, I have a real name, you can call me by my real name. And it's just like keeps going, because everything is incestuous and stepbrother, stepsister, family, MILF. It's like 90% of the porn videos.
Oh, I thought you were telling me an actual one that you saw that was like a parody of all of those. Or is that what you're saying?
That is a parody, yes.
Oh,
it's
okay,
so real that
because,
it's like the parody's so...
Right, the parody has become real because friggin' our porn is just mutated. I can't imagine what it'll be in 10 years, but hopefully it saves us.
Yeah. She's like, I have a dry throat. He's like, go get the water. She's like, I don't know where the water is. Oh. So deafness.
Deafness. You think you'll get there?
Well, do you think I'll get deaf? Become deaf?
Yeah, partial. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. Every now and then I like don't hear people and I start to worry. And then I just realize that like other people like suck at hearing too and suck at talking.
The greatest is we have friends, so we're starting to hit the age where hearing will start to change, even if it's not in most people, it's in a few.
Mm-hmm.
We have a friend couple that are heavy drinkers, and they like to party, and they argue all the time. Well, both of their hearing is going.
Nice.
And it's fascinating because they're not that much older, and the hearing isn't gone at all, but it's just enough where they say, huh? Every 5 seconds, and then this. I said you got it out of the Jeep, remember? And he goes, well, I thought you said earlier we had it there. And then she has to say, no, the Jeep. We didn't keep it. And then they argue for like 2 minutes. And I'm standing here and they're arguing. And I'm like, oh, my God, dude, you guys, relax. You aren't even arguing. You didn't realize it. You were just getting along. But you thought you were arguing. And it's just so weird because we don't have a way to tell them.
That's an interesting situation. That always happens to me.
Does it? Where you guys argue about the same thing because like she just didn't catch a word or something?
So sometimes she like keys in on my tone, and like sometimes my tone is just like direct.
That's that's impossible.
So I said,
and I'm not here if she's watching the whole episode and reading every transcript. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying if I can hear 300 variants of Dan's dialect and his tones, I think the only thing she could read into it was your eyes. If you were doing this, I told you where it was. And it's your eyes. It's your eyes. I already know what she's going to say.
Yeah.
It's the way you look at her when you say things. So I agree with her.
Body language.
I changed my mind. Yes, it is body language.
It's bullshit, Nick.
I changed my mind.
There's no.
It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Okay.
How many times does someone ask you like 5 times where something is, and you tell them every time it's right over there? It's right over there. It's right.
Done.
It's right. It's right. And then by that time,
By
it's
the
just
fifth
like,
time, you're right. It is.
I don't
a bit
like
of
your
a,
tone. And it's like, but it's right fucking there.
Just said it's right there. I hate you. And it's like, whoa! I just wanted to know where it was.
Oh.
And it's like this giant fight has erupted because of a communication error.
Yeah,
Interesting.
That's pretty for as little as we fight. The majority of our fights are over weird communication errors, exactly like that. But I assume that most couples are like that.
I think they are, whether one's deaf or none's deaf or anything. But that probably makes it more often. Mm-hmm. I agree. Interesting.
That's one of my one gripes is that there are times when she could fully hear me and she ignores me, and I go, like, you should have heard me there. And then, like, she'll be like, but I'm deaf. It's like, that has nothing to do with it.
Damn,
you were ignoring me.
I would pull that all the time. That's such a good move.
He's against me, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm deaf. You son of a bitch. No, you didn't. I know what you're doing.
I know you heard that.
Which is kind of cool that we came to this because it's almost like deaf people are real people.
Uh-huh.
I tried to get you to spit your drink. I tried. I had you.
It's almost like.
Almost, yeah. I tried. No, I mean, it is. They all run through the same trials and tribulations. They literally have to deal with this all the time. And I'm almost 100% sure I will have hearing loss. It's got to be coming for me soon.
Yeah.
I play my music. Earphones in, Max. I'm a Max guy. I do it all the time.
Yeah, I used to have earphones in, and then like in the office, other people could hear the music that I was listening to, and it's just 100%. Like I enjoy it at that volume. But I did it for like several years, and I think it's probably gonna hurt me a lot.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to a lot of metal concerts.
What about like you're hearing in like crowded spaces, like at bars and like places where like have a lot of background noise? My wife definitely cannot hear in that situation, but even I can't hear. Like sometimes she feels like it's because I'm deaf. I
couldn't when I was 21 and I went to all these functions.
Yes. Okay, good.
Them. And I'd be like, I said we should go get a drink. What? We should get a drink. It's funny that you start talking to people in that scenario like maybe they're deaf. You overpronounce your words.
You shrink your sentences.
Yeah,
drink,
you cut out. Yeah, you cut out all the extemporaneous.
Extemporaneous.
Could be. Yeah, and it's wild. Real quick, I do want to touch on some famous deaf people. You touched on Helen Keller.
Kanye West.
There's a movie. Who?
Kanye West.
He claims he's deaf now?
No, I don't know. It's something that he would do. Yeah. He probably will do it.
Yeah,
I'll be right eventually.
You may. Predicted here on the UnPanderers. Copyright 2019. I don't think we can make money off that. So there's a movie called Power. Can you Google it to make sure that's the name of the movie?
Powder or Power?
Power. Air drumming. Just do Power air drum. There's a movie called Power or Life of Power or Struggle of Power.
Adventures of Power?
Adventures of Power. Thank you. So there's a movie called Adventures of Power, which every time we go up the mountains, we watch together. And it's an air drummer. And his goal in life is to be the world's best air drummer. There's a contest every year that's all the best air drummers in the world. And they have to sit on their little thrones and do the best air drum they can do. And they're judged on accuracy and what it looks like they hit and the rhythm and everything else. Like there are judges doing this. The coolest thing about this movie is he's a flunky, a dropout, a loser, but he's going to be an air drumming champion, or at least that's what he wants to be in his heart. He falls in love with a girl who's deaf. And
Shoshana?
Yeah, she can't hear him, but when I see you play, I can hear the music. And it's the cheesiest thing in the world because it makes air drumming seriously. And he's talking to a drummer one time, and they're like, yo, man, you don't even play real drums. And he's like, check this. When you hit the drum, it bounces back. That's easy, man. Anytime I got to do a drum fill, I got to do both bounces. And the guy's like, whoa. But his deaf girlfriend cracks me up. And the whole movie, it's ironic that he's not really playing the drums and she's not really hearing them. And it's It's my favorite thing. And about 3/4 of the way through the movie, we find out how she was made deaf. Her mom was a hippie and was following music plays and bands everywhere and from the 60s and 70s. And she said, "Hold on, daughter." And she puts her 4-year-old daughter in front of a 36-inch giant speaker cabinet that's playing to 70,000 people and just puts her here and says, "Stay here." And she walks 10 feet further on stage and flashes the audience. And they scream so loud that it hits the speaker and deafens her daughter for life. Oh, it's the most messed up thing ever. But anyway, her mom flashing the audience at Woodstock or whatever is why she's deaf. And why she falls in love with a drummer who's not even playing the drums. And it's kind of a movie that you could probably see for free on YouTube, I believe. But I highly recommend it. It's like a tongue-in-cheek MTV type parody from the 90s, and it's very funny and very well done. And he plays Tom Sawyer on drums.
What was the Krasinski movie? That Quiet Place. Have you seen Quiet Place yet?
No, I heard it was really good.
It is indeed. But they actually used...
Is the whole movie quiet?
Mm-hmm. So they have to use sign language throughout. Well, there's pieces where they can talk, but it's it's minimal. So there's sign language used throughout, and I think they actually have a deaf actress as one of the leads, so that it was a genuine, and it kind of I don't know. There's a piece of it that kind of is to watch it is really captivating and off-putting at the same time. But then when the action scenes happen, I think it kind of ups the level a little bit because the action scenes kind of break through the silence and make it that much more piercing.
Loud?
Yeah. Well, it was not necessarily loud. It's just
in a loud
action.
In a loud,
yeah.
A loudness and quiet.
An overload kind of sense.
Yeah, I could see that. So do you think deaf people can kind of feel loudness? Can they feel this overwhelming, piercing, just sudden whack, whack? I mean, because you still could without sound, I imagine. It's just sound kind of, anytime I associate one of these explosions or things like that, it's with noise. And I know they could feel an explosion. I'm just saying like when something crazy happens at your job, you can't hear. That would be weird.
That's like, fingernails on a blackboard? So to us, that screech, yeah, exactly. It might be the same noise to a deaf person, but there are noises out there that like the chiming of things, like plates hitting each other, certain frequencies make it through, and that's got to be the same thing.
It's wild.
If you think something extremely benign, like ASMR, those people that are just imagine for some reason I feel extremely calm. Yeah.
Weren't we going to do a whole episode of one?
We were, but we need a whole bunch of props in order to do it properly.
And chimes. Ching, 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 ching. Yeah, we do some chimes over here. Yeah.
You needed a Music Man, you're stuck inside the Music Man's this whole thing.
And have all the stuff. Yeah. Got that.
It's a lot of effort for a podcast that doesn't get that many views.
Whoa, it's not about the views, it's about what's in here, my man. Okay, it's about what's in here and what's up here. Your cochlear. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. What other elements are there?
Literally, I was just going to say how it feels to be in a community. I thought of this when I was upstairs. Just how it's weird how I met that deaf couple that went to the Harley Davidson thing. Which is cool. They were big into Harleys, and they were my best buds. And I was talking with them and telling jokes with them, and they claimed they knew my grandmother, and I don't know if they did or didn't, whatever. And maybe they did because it's a small enough community that they would, or maybe they were just saying it because they thought they did, or there was a miscommunication. And just any other deaf people, it's so funny. There are certain communities that feel tighter knit than others. If I said I was part of the rollerblading as a teenager community, I don't know that we're that tight knit. Not a lot of people at my age group talk about when they were rollerblading. 15 years ago? Do you run into that a lot? Any meetups? Any big mass emails? No. Nobody really talks about it. And don't get me wrong, it's not a lifelong thing. But the deaf community is one community that I feel is strong. And if you're in the community or know someone, it's you're You're a brother at arms, if that makes sense. It's like you're part of something. This happens in the neighborhood that I work in Philadelphia, Germantown. Like if you know someone in Germantown, you're like Germantown strong, dude. You're in. I don't know how to explain that, but it's a super tight knit community. Whereas if you're from Mount Airy, who cares? Not even people from Mount Airy care. Do you know what I mean? Like there's certain communities that feel like they look out for their own, they accept their own, they're willing to help their own more. They want to talk about their own more. They want to, I don't know, work together more. And I get that from the deaf community. And I could be totally wrong, but I
agree with you. I'm just trying to think.
Okay.
It's like I haven't seen it. I wonder what the percentage of people being blind is. Like the blind is a blind community. I'm sure it's out there, but
I guess that one's harder to organize.
Yeah.
I mean, really, because driving there, getting the message out, like you could always do a podcast or a radio program or talk to someone, but organization feels to favor visual aspects, if that makes sense.
A surprising number of people are legally blind. It's 3%. But I don't know how many people are like legally blind is like you can't make out like letters from a certain distance.
Right,
like,
correct.
Full blown blind. I don't even know what to search for that.
Did you type in full blown blind? I love that.
Never mind. Okay, never mind. Is
it a small amount, large amount?
Apparently, there's a full-blown firearms that fills my. I shouldn't have even said that because now it's like promoting them. We do not get kickbacks from full-blown firearms.
Wait, why did they show up? That's so weird.
Because it's full-blown.
They have the SEO. Oh, full-blown.
And I think the third one's what made me laugh. Is like blind AIDS survivor discovers vision beyond sight, and I think. I was just thinking like full-blown AIDS.
AIDS. I thought of that when you said full-blown. But who made that famous? You have full-blown AIDS. Who is that? Is that the dudes who made South Park? They did a musical or something.
Yeah, full-blown AIDS.
Trey Parker, Matt Stone made something called Full-Blown AIDS.
I feel like that's right up the alley.
Sounds like something. Yeah.
Apparently, like no light perception is incredibly rare. Like,
really?
You can sense light.
Like just in darkness, total darkness.
Yeah.
Weird. That's so bizarre. Anyway, those are the top two, and I feel like, be deaf. Community.
I have noticed that, like, if there's like certain people who are deaf, my wife will know them. Like, there's a deaf person on Dancing with the Stars. There's deaf authors, and she'll be like pick up the books and be like, this person's deaf. Like she already knows before she sees the book. She doesn't have to read like the back to say this author is blah 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 blah.
Well, it's like the Greeks.
Yeah.
The Greeks know every other Greek famous person. Oh, he's Greek. He's very good. He's very good. He's Greek. And it's like, how do you know that guy? And they're like, he's very big in Greece. He's very big. He's very big. And it's like, oh, okay. And it's like, oh, you have to watch the Cook Show with the Greek man. And then they'll give me a name I've never heard before. And it's like, oh, he's very big, very big. But it's like certain communities feel like they're very tight-knit. Greeks being one of them. Shout out to our Greek viewers. We love you. Ooh, Mr. Rob. Shout out. I'm kidding because my last job was with all Greeks. So I know lucky a couple curse words. We're not going to get into them. Malakas. I also know deaf people. The deaf community. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked here because I think we're winding down.
Yeah.
How many people do you think actually know a deaf person in their life? Like mine, my grandmother, your wife. Those are pretty close, but I feel like that's not the average, right?
No, I still get people that were like, maybe when I was a little younger, like in my 20s, they'd be like, it'd be almost like a novelty. And that's the same thing that happens when like you have an interpreter on stage and like the comedian or musician wants to like make fun of them.
Tries to mess with them. Sure, because it's like weird. It's like, becoming pretty mainstream, but
yeah, it's still like an immature thing. It's kind of strange.
Sure. Well, listen, people are going to be, poking fun at the minority, something uncomfortable, something new, something weird. You know what I mean? Because they haven't seen it. Think of it. I mean, if you grew up with it, of course. 100%. It's the everyday. If they're, oh, this is different.
So let's spin this a little bit. So, like, my wife's cochlear technology is improving. It's not the best, and it can't give her, like, perfect...
and everything?
Yeah,
that's
there's
cool.
Light improvements. Then you make it smaller, the batteries are a little better, and you hear different frequencies and more of them. But imagine if, at a certain point, it exceeded, like, the human ability for hearing.
That would be wild. Would you get one?
That's exactly
like, sign me the hell up. Yeah, I know you. I know that was your question. You're already signing up for 2 of them. Oh,
if you have to insert it into your brain.
Oh, like risky.
Yeah. You have to trust somebody to actually put it in there right, and for it to be clean, and for them to not, like, give you a brain virus.
It probably will by the time I'm like 60, if, like, the hearing starts going.
That's like,
because then it's like a gamble that's worth it.
Hard drugs
right now.
Like, I got nothing left. Why not?
Is that what you're going to do at 60? Start doing the hard drugs? You're like,
you just have the heroin, the cocaine, whatever, LSD. You're just like, just mix it together. It's fine.
Let's see, whatever. What am I going to lose? Yeah. That makes sense. It's wild. Actually, you do have more to lose because your heart can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
You have to do all your hard drugs when you're young, kids.
Yeah.
Listening.
Like,
don't do them.
Before you're a teenager.
Don't.
Don't do that, please.
Don't do that, please. You shouldn't be listening to the podcast if you do that long.
Yeah. There's a disclaimer at the beginning that absolves us of all wrongdoing. So.
Mm-hmm. So let's kind of wrap it up. What's your favorite thing about being deaf?
About me being deaf? Deafness?
About being deaf.
So
I didn't say you being deaf.
My highlight is the way she mispronounces things. So, like, James Bond. She loves James Bond. She watched every movie. She has the full collection.
No. Come, dude. Come on. She calls leave me hanging. You're burying the lead.
Those 007 movies. I love those movies.
Oh, 007.
Oh.
Damn. 007. At it again. That's kind of cool. I like that.
I love it, but she absolutely hates it because she wants to be like, she wants to be in the know. So when they CC it, like something like that, they actually write just the letters. What are you doing? 007. They don't say like 007. Like that would take longer.
Not writing that's like that's
World Wide Web is 3 syllables, but www it's like twice as many syllables.
That is wild. I never thought of that. That's blowing my brain. That's warping my noodle. Damn.
007.
I was going to say my favorite thing is the old thing that your other senses become heightened.
Her smell.
I don't know that.
Higher.
Well, I don't know that your senses become heightened or you pay more attention to your senses. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not like all of a sudden they have super sniffers and they're like they can smell more particles per thousand. I think it's just that they have fewer senses, so they're putting more brain power into smell or more. They're putting more focus.
If you have nerve endings that are like growing out there, and then like one of your senses are not there, like you think they're gonna just be like, I think they're just gonna redirect, and then your brain's gonna fuse in certain areas.
It's gonna pay in the stupidest way to say it. They're paying more attention to the other things.
Could be that they're paying more attention, and also like they have more sensory input.
I don't know. They're getting more sensory input. There's no way I'm functioning at 100% sensory input. I don't know what this desk feels like while I'm talking to you, while I'm doing the air temperature in my nostrils, while I'm like figuring out what's the dryness versus the wetness of the room versus the depth perception of this versus the colors here versus the wash here versus how many molecules are in here versus like how much time I've spent down here. All that going on in like
and all the molecules in the universe. Second. Yeah. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, there are.
Oh, man.
You're going to try and get me to show it every episode. But you can only pay attention to X amount. And so your brain is split up between at least 5 senses, a sense of time, a sense of this. If you cut out one sense, guess what? You got more. You can concentrate more in one area or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Duty cycle?
Duty cycle.
Okay, that's not a poop thing?
No.
Okay.
It's an electronics thing.
Oh, is it?
Percentage of your time spent doing something.
Oh, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, your percentage of time increases by the entire unit minus X. The sense of hearing, right?
I have no idea what the hell you just went on there, but okay. All right, Nick.
It's like the unit is 5 million sensors. Well, it's 5 million minus X, which is hearing. So you can spend more time split up that way.
Yes.
Thank you. You're damn right I'm right. Smooth operator.
Oh, yeah. Is that the line you use on the ladies?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Duty X.
Duty cycle minus X, ladies.
So for all the deaf people listening, we have one quick segment. Okay.
Clap, clap.
There you go. We did it. I did it under so no one could. Okay. So this is also like a joke. Anytime I still drive by the school for the deaf, Philadelphia School for the Deaf, when I drive by, I forget who started this. Someone at my work was like, yeah, I honk every time I go by. And I was like, why? And he's like, I have no idea. So every now and then I honk when I go by the School for the Deaf.
Huh.
And it's like a shout out. I mean, it's not to be rude. It's almost like it's given a fist up. Does that make sense?
So like that's like deaf clapping isn't clapping. It's you do this finger dancing. Yeah. I don't know that. I don't know if that's appropriate. I don't know that it matters.
It's not appropriate.
It's just like
I apologize. I mean, I do my own way. Oh, like do the fake horns.
The
so
pump,
it's like
yeah.
fake honking at them. And it's not at anyone particular. I mean, it's when the street's clear and I'm going by the school. Boom, boom. It's like shout out.
What up, deaf people? Yeah.
Yeah, literally. I don't know. I got family who went there. I can do whatever the hell I want, dude.
I'm in the community. Hey.
I'm in the community. I know people. I got X, Y, and Z. I know a couple famous people in the community. Just say I'm a pretty big spender there. Okay. Not as big as you, who lives every day with them and says how much you hate them.
There's got to be an interesting tidbit that you want to know. There's got to be more.
Well, I don't know. It's going to be like sexual. Like, does she laugh when you guys have sex? And then I'm like, no, this is inappropriate. She laughs when you guys have sex. That's so awesome. Is it when that's a purely visual joke?
Enjoyment, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Oh, that's funny.
No,
can she hear the Chewbacca noise?
No. Actually, I should. Huh.
You should do it.
I should. She would probably notice, though. She is looking right at me.
Always looking at each other. You guys have the same position. Interesting. I'm going to write that down.
Always.
That's one of two.
One of those
things.
little like barber's mirrors where you can look back. You're just like, I'm still.
Oh, yeah. Looks good over here. Looks good over here. You missed a spot? No, I mean, I think being deaf is actually the coolest handicap. Is it considered a handicap?
Yeah, the handicap.
Do you get the sticker and everything?
She could choose to, but she doesn't.
Power to the people. Why didn't she just get one and give it to you?
Damn it. What? Damn it.
Are you allowed to do that with your spouse? You're not,
it's probably frowned upon.
But
I wouldn't
who's
want
to say whose car is whose? And who's using what car that day? They're in both
feel
names,
like there's
right?
a level of honesty there that we should probably adhere to.
Yeah, okay. That's exactly what we're here for.
You know, if I were... The problem is if I had that tag and I could, like, pull up right where I wanted to, like, I would just grow exponentially. And then, like, eventually I would actually be disabled because I'd be rolling around.
You're putting a lot of onus on, like, 30 feet. Now, I know it's 30 feet times, 3 times a day, but it still seems like an awful lot. Like you're going to gain 100 pounds because you have to park closer to the grocery store. You're just getting fatter by the minute.
I just imagine people, like, bringing out one of those electronic wheelchairs and just be like, oh, he's disabled. And now I have to play it up. Like, every time I go to the grocery store, they know me as the disabled guy.
So now you have to continually ask for help, reaching for anything over like your shoulders. You're like, can you get that?
I have to bring a cane so I can knock it off the shelves. And I'm just like knocking everything off the shelf. Finally, I got those gummy bears. Damn it!
You go to sign up for the gym and you see 3 people you recognize from the supermarket. And you're like, oh Jesus! And you have to get back in your chair real quick and be like, whoa, sorry.
How did I get the arm weights?
Yeah, you just do a few arm weights. That's a cycle. You're right.
The gym etiquette. Etiquette.
You better adequate while you're ahead of time.
Would you wipe down my sweat if I was disabled? No.
I'd roll around in it, baby. The sweat hog.
Some good sweat there.
I'm a sweat hog.
This person hasn't sweat themselves in 10 years. That's pure.
Welcome back, Cotter. Did you get that?
I don't watch that show.
It's like from the 1970s.
Sweat hog is an actual thing?
Yeah. Welcome back, Cotter. It was a TV show.
I know Welcome Back, Cotter, but I don't...
Well, that's what he called them. Hey, sweat hogs. That's what he called them. I'm not sure why, but I like to think it was a gym etiquette reason. Or like a super racially charged one. I have no idea. Or like a super... In the 70s, what else was going on? Race, sweat, jumping the shark, the Fonz.
I'm trying to think. There was something that caught my eye today that was like... I'm not going to remember.
Deaf community.
No, it had nothing to do with the deaf community. Oh, never mind. It's going to piss
me off. They've all turned it off because they couldn't hear anything so far. So
yeah, I know. No, not going to come to me.
Are you sure? We can be around for another 5-10 minutes.
We can just, just sit there and stare at each other for a minute.
Oh. Listen, I got to see how these look. All right, we're starting to get there a little bit. You see that?
Yeah, arm hair. Need some.
You see that? That's a man arm. No, actually, the pit's the only area I don't shave. See that? That's real hair, folks.
That's real hair. Wow.
I had to trim my chest and my neck, though. That's a whole nother story. You know, if you're trimming your neck and you go down to here, but you have like a tuft of hair here, guess what you got to do? Trim it. And if you trim here, and you got like a little bit of hair here, a little bit of hair here, what do you got to do? Trim it. So then now you have a hairy stomach, but your chest is clean. Yeah, it looks real weird. Like, what's going on, dude? Are you a serial killer? So you know what you got to do? Trim your stomach hair. And then at that point, you just...
How far down do you go, Nick? You just keep going?
No, you stop at your stomach. That's it.
I mean, you have to make sure it's below your waistline, right?
100%.
So now it looks like a diaper of hair.
No, I leave a, I call it a designer happy trail because I've designed it myself. It's really just leftover hair, but it looks like a
little maze on your chest.
Line of hair. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Grab your crowns, kiddos.
Oh, Jesus.
Ooh.
Let's wrap it up. We're saying self-indicting.
Well, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening or reading.
Yes. Or following along.
Thanks for following along.
Thanks for joining us.
Actually, if you have any other communities or stories from the deaf community, because actually some of their stories are hilarious. I actually knew a brawler who was deaf. Oh, that was the Harley dude. He was just like a dude who used to get in fights all the time. And I feel like half of it was to avoid communicating with people. But like, he's a badass. Probably a lot of great stories. I didn't, So share some stories. Share any deaf people you know in your life and work with on a regular basis or whatever. And the dude in The Replacements, another famous deaf person. Remember?
Yeah.
Wide receiver. That's kind of cool.
That is cool.
So bring it up. Tell us who we missed. Talk about some deafness, some deaf individuals, some folklore, a little bit of fun stuff, maybe some fun facts we missed, maybe some TTY machine mishaps where you accidentally TTY'd your boss at midnight and told him to F himself. I don't know. Why did he have a TTY machine?
Didn't know who it was anyway because a ring ding 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 ding. It's like who?
Yeah. This feels offensive. Anyway, yeah.
Agree.
So
equals
D
tilde
capital D. Mm-hmm.
Wink wink honk honk.
Seriously though, thanks for tuning in. Check our socials. We got here, go here, click here, this, the UnPanderers. And any input we greatly appreciate, and we honestly we like you. We like you a lot.